All right, let's dive in. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the one language that makes the modern web go. I'm talking about everything from your social media feed updating in real time to the shopping cart on your favorite site. Yep, it all runs on JavaScript.
Seriously, have you ever stopped to think about it? You click a like button and bam, the counter goes up. You start typing in a search bar and suggestions pop up instantly. What's the magic behind that? How does a flat, static page turn into a living, breathing application? And there you have it. That's the secret sauce. It's not some fancy add-on, it's one of the core technologies built from the ground up to make web pages interactive, right inside your browser.
Now, to really get a feel for its job, this classic analogy is perfect. Think of a web page like a person. HTML, that's the skeleton. It gives the page its basic structure. CSS, that's the skin, the hair, the clothes. It's all the styling that makes it look good. But JavaScript, that's the nervous system. It's the brain, the muscles, the reflexes. It's what makes the whole thing move and react to you.
So before we jump into the how of JavaScript, we really need to understand the why. Why is this one language so ridiculously dominant? What makes it the undisputed king of the interactive web?
Let's break this down. When we say high level, all that means is it's written in a way that's pretty close to human language, which makes it way easier to learn than machine code. But the most important part here is core technology. It's not optional. It's a fundamental pillar, standing right alongside HTML and CSS.
And this is where it gets really amazing. I mean, look at this. It completely owns the front end with huge frameworks like React. But then, with something called Node.js, it jumped to the back end, meaning you can build an entire web application with just one language. And it didn't stop there. It's in mobile apps, games, you name it. And you know, when one language can do all that, well, that leads directly to a massive demand for developers. Okay, so you're ready to learn. Where do you even begin? Let's break it down to the absolute essentials. These are the fundamental concepts you'll use every single day as a developer.
First things first, variables. The absolute best way to think about these is just as labeled boxes. Simple, right? You give a box a name, and you stick some data inside it. In modern JavaScript, we use let for boxes where the contents might change later, and const for boxes where the data is meant to stay the same.
And here's exactly what that looks like. We're saying, hey computer, create a box called name and put the text Alice in it. Then we say, create another box called age and put the number 30 in it. We've just asked the program to remember two simple pieces of information for us.
And there you go. The program has stored that data perfectly. It's now ready for us to use whenever we need it. So you've got data stored in your boxes. Now what? Well, you need a way to actually do stuff with it. That's where operators come in. They're basically the action words in your code. You can use them for simple math, like adding or subtracting, or for comparing things, like checking if one number is bigger than another. Okay, lean in for this one because it's a classic rookie mistake. The double equals, or what we call abstract equality, can be tricky. It tries to be helpful by converting types, but that can cause some really weird bugs. The triple equals, strict equality, is your best friend. It checks if both the value and the type are the exact same. Trust me on this, just stick with the triple equals. It'll save you so many headaches later.
All right, so we can store data and we can do things to it. But here's where programming gets really powerful. This is where we teach our code how to think for itself.
And we do that using conditionals, usually an if-else statement. It works exactly how it sounds in plain English. If some condition is true, then do this one thing. Else, if it's not true, do this other thing instead. This is the bedrock of all decision-making in code.
Let's look at a super practical example. We've got a variable called score set to 85. The if statement here is like a bouncer at a club. It looks at the score and checks our condition. Is this score greater than or equal to 80?
Well, since 85 is greater than 80, the condition is true. The bouncer lets us in, and the code inside those curly braces gets to run. And boom, we get grade B on the screen. Our little program just made a logical decision all on its own.
Now, what happens if you need to do something 100 times or 1,000 times? You are definitely not going to write the same line of code over and over again. That would be insane. And that's exactly what loops are for. They are your best friend for any repetitive task.
Now, this is a classic for loop. It might look a little weird at first, but it's pretty simple when you break it down. We're just telling the computer three things. 1. Start a counter, we'll call it I, at 0. 2. As long as I is less than 3, keep running the code. And 3. Every time you finish, add 1 to I. And here's what happens. It runs the code when I is 0. Then it runs it again when I is 1, and one more time when I is 2. The moment I becomes 3, the condition is I less than 3 is false, and the loop just stops. See? 3 repetitions, just a few lines of code. Super efficient.
Okay, deep breath. We've covered variables, operators, conditionals, and loops. These are kind of like the individual Lego bricks. But how do we put them all together to actually build something cool, like an interactive website?
The magic ingredient that connects our code to the actual web page is something called the DOM, or Document Object Model. Just think of your HTML page as a big tree. The DOM is what gives JavaScript superpowers to reach into that tree, find any specific branch or leaf, like a button or a heading, and change it on the fly. This is the critical link between our code logic and what you see and interact with on your screen.
So, what's your game plan? How do you get started? It's actually pretty simple. First, get really solid on the basics we just talked about. Then, and this is important, start practicing right away. You can use online tools or even just your web browser. The most important step, though, is to start building stuff. Anything. Little projects are key. And finally, don't forget about amazing free resources like MDN and Free Code Camp. They're your best friends on this journey.
And if you take away only one thing today, please let it be this. You can watch tutorials all day long, but the real learning, the deep learning, happens when you start building your own things. Your code is going to break, you'll get stuck, but figuring out why it broke, that's how you actually get good. So go get your hands dirty.
And that was a whirlwind tour of the fundamentals that make the modern web tick. I hope this gets you excited to start your journey. For more detailed guides and to keep on learning, for more, visit our website, Fair Solution.